Welcome to Thoughts from a Bookworm. I'm Abigail Grace. So last week we talked about the first installment chronologically of the Lunar Chronicles, which was Ferris. It dealt with Levana and her backstory and kind of how we got to the story part of the Lunar Chronicles. So today we're going to go through each one of our MC's childhood, which I'm very excited about. I love this portion of Stars Above because I like seeing kind of more of the backstory. So there's different parts that we're going to talk about. The first one up is The Keeper, which takes place either right after Ferris ends or overlapping before it ends, because it picks up with Michelle Benoit, who is Scarlett's grandmother, being visited by Dr. Logan Tanner from Luna, who escaped from Luna, and he has a severely deformed, dying Celine who he wants to help recover, but he needs a place to hide her on Earth. Michelle agrees, and we get kind of a brief glimpse into her history with Logan Tanner, which is somewhat of a whirlwind romance, and it was very interesting for me to witness. Michelle didn't really strike me as the type of person to be a very touchy-feely, emotional kind of woman. I know she was in the military. She had a very brief affair with Logan Tanner. She ended up getting pregnant on Luna, but she didn't realize that she was pregnant until she got back to Earth, and by then she didn't really see the need to reach out to Logan because they weren't ever going to see each other again. And from her understanding, affairs were very common on Luna, which we know from Ferris they were. But she agrees to help him and to house Celine. Kind of at the same time all of that is going on, her granddaughter Scarlett is going through some family drama. She's got some pretty legitimate daddy issues. Her dad isn't there for her. And Michelle convinces Luke, I think that's how you say his name, Luck, I'm not really sure, I say it Luke, to let Scarlett come live with her. And I absolutely loved getting to read about farm life. That has low-key been one of my longest dreams, I think, is to live on a farm and to raise animals and have a garden and grow my own food. That just sounds, I know it's a ton of work, but it just sounds so nice. So I low-key loved reading that portion of Scarlett's backstory, and even the Scarlett in the story herself, just because of the farm element. I just love farms. I had a whole little aesthetic board on Pinterest for farm aesthetics and stuff like that. So that was really cool. As the years pass, we see that Celine grows, she's stabilized. Logan kind of begins to go through lunar sickness. We're told that he's going through this because he's not using his glamour as much or at all, and that's going crazy is a side effect of not using your glamour. Which that, honestly, and I had the same beef with Winter, was one of my biggest pet peeves of this whole series, because to me that's such a major, major plot hole. And we'll talk about this more when we get to Winter, but just for this specifically, he could have very easily just glamoured himself, his fingernails, or looked in the mirror and glamoured his hair to look longer. I guess you can't use mirrors for glamour. But there are ways around not using glamour in public, but still using it so that you don't go crazy. I don't know, just felt kind of weird for me, kind of off. Michelle houses Scarlett, they end up fitting her with all her cyborg limbs, and then they wake her up when she is 13, and Michelle suggests they gave her the name Cinder, kind of as symbolism, she was burned in the fire, and from the cinders she will rise, which I think is really cool, because we're never given an origin name for Cinder. It's just oh, Cinderella retelling, Cinder, haha, real clever, real cute, but no, there's a legitimate reason for it, which was really cool. That spits us right out to glitches, which is I swear, Cinder, Cress, Wolf, and there was Winters too, simply because of the physical, Levana making her cut her face. But the first three really just had rough childhoods. I cannot even imagine poor Cinder waking up at 13 years old. She has no memories of anything, nothing, not who she is, where she came from, her parent, nothing. Her physical body, no doubt, is aching, is in pain from the cybernetic surgeries and stuff like that. She's disoriented. She's traveling. She's dropped off with this family whose mother clearly hates her. The dad, Garen, shortly dies thereafter. Cinder is blamed for bringing the disease to the place. She wants to prove herself. She meets Eco. She rebuilds Eco to prove her purpose, or prove her worth. And Eco making a comment that, oh, why can't you cry? You must have glitches. That's cute. But it's just, Cinder's whole backstory is just so, it's just sad. The next one up is the Queen's Army, which is Wolf's backstory. And I'm not gonna lie, I have not read this section, nor do I plan on reading it. I think I read the first 3 pages and stopped at that point. It just was, nothing in the Lunar Chronicles is overly graphic. Like, I know that there's subject matters that are like very dark and disgusting, but it doesn't get into that in a graphic way. It's just kind of mentioned that this is what's been going on, and then you're left to kind of fill in the blanks. The Queen's Army got a little bit too close for comfort in physically mutating these young boys. Like, that's just so heartbreaking to me, and especially in light of everything that's going on right now with children and minors and stuff like that. It's just so heartbreaking. I don't know, it was just, I didn't like that section. It just kind of made me feel uncomfortable, and it's like when there's a dog in a movie, you kind of stop caring about the people as long as the dog is okay. I feel like the same thing is true with children. Like, okay, the grown-ups can be tortured, and that's easier to stomach than torturing children. And that was kind of what the Queen's Army was about, just Wolf's adaptation to his wolf surgery. So I didn't read that. I think I stopped when he woke up and was like, oh my gosh, my gums hurt, my jaw hurts from the implantation. It was just so sad. I did see, though, somebody had pointed out, I think I saw it was like a Reddit thread on Instagram, that Zaev or Zave, however you say wolf name, means wolf, like it's translated to wolf. So Wolf's parents literally named him Wolf, knowing he would probably be taken for the Queen's Wolf Army. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny. Carswell's Guide to Being Lucky is definitely my favorite. I am a die-hard Thorn girl. I love him so much. Flynn Rider is my favorite Disney prince, and obviously Carswell was based very heavily after him, or inspired after him. The author took inspiration from him for Thorn. I absolutely love him, and I love that he basically has the same character, like, as a child and as an adult, which shows a lack of maturity, I know, and that's kind of the whole point of Thorn's character arc. But I just loved it. Like, he's 13 years old, and he's running gambling gigs in school and trying to save enough money because he wants to go to the summer camp and get out of his parents' oppressiveness. And I don't know, he's just very, very crafty. We got to meet Kate Follow, who we know from Cress. Cress knew that there was some incident involving Kate Follow. But unlike what Carswell said, because Carswell in Cress told her that he did have a crush on her, that he had a crush on every girl. But in Carswell's Guide to Being Lucky, he did not, in fact, have a crush on her. He just wanted to use her for her math affinity. So, take that for what you will. I love Carswell's Guide to Being Lucky because he is just so freaking cute, and I just love him so much and wish I could marry him, because I would, because he's beautiful. The next one is After Sunshine Passes By, and this one again just makes me so sad. Like, I read the ending of it the first time and like wanted to cry. And again, combined with the song of Sweet Crescent Moon, After Sunshine Passes By, like, it's just like makes me choke up thinking about how sad it is. And same thing for these shells. They literally grew up raising each other. Basically, they were supervised by at least Sybil Mira, maybe others. They were cut off from the world. They're not allowed to leave the shell dormitories. They were cut off from net access because of Cress hacking and kind of getting everybody in trouble. Her affinity for computers gave her something to do. She was put to work for Queen Lavanna and Sybil. She programmed some stuff. She hacked some stuff. She got to leave the confines of the dormitory sometimes. But she slipped up when she told Sybil Mira that she couldn't access Earth's networks because she was too far away. She would need something with a stronger, closer connection. And that's why Sybil outfitted her with the amazing satellite, which again is such a cool parallel to Rapunzel being up in the tower. Cress is up in the satellite. Like, that was brilliant parallelism from the author. After Sunshine Passes By is also the shortest backstory, which Cress is my favorite character, so I kind of wish that we would have gotten more backstory from her, maybe even in the satellite, like skipping forward a few years and kind of seeing her building Little Cress and creating her programs for her fitness journeys and stuff like that, because I really like Cress. The next one is The Princess and the Guard, which I think is so cute, and I am not a big winter fan. I honestly just, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not a big winter fan. I think the whole her being crazy kind of was overdone and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of winter, but I do think that her relationship with Jason is really sweet. I like how we can see their friendship blossom almost right away. As soon as Celine dies, Jason and Winter latch onto each other. As soon as her dad dies, the two of them continue to latch onto each other. Levana abuses her. Jason does what he can to protect Winter, even though it's not really enough. And their comfort and their presence of each other is just very sweet. And best friends to lovers is my favorite trope, so I like that aspect of it. I don't really have a whole lot to say on that one again, because Winter's my least favorite. Winter and Scarlet, honestly. I'm not a fan of Scarlet either. I feel like the two of them are opposite ends of the spectrum, and I'm not a fan of either end of the spectrum. I don't like Winter's overdone craziness. I don't like Scarlet's overdone, I don't even know what to call Scarlet, but like just her overdone, she's not, I wouldn't consider her masculine, but she's just very like tough, which I think can be cool. Like Cinder was tough, but it wasn't I don't know. I just was not a huge fan of Winter, but I do really like Jason. I think he's cool. He kind of almost, if anyone has ever read the Inheritance games, he kind of gives me Grayson vibes. Like he's very quiet, he's very stoic because of this mold that he was forced to fill very early on. He was never given the chance to be a child, to have fun, to do something just for himself. Everything he did, he had to kind of think, okay, how will this impact Winter? How will this affect my family? Like he was never allowed to be a child, which I think is just, it makes for a good character. The last section in Stars Above is the mechanic, which, Cress and Thorn aside, is my favorite. I feel like I've said that for all of them. I love Kai so much. He's just so, like, such a cinnamon roll. I just love him so, so much. And I love how, from his perspective, when he's meeting Cinder, he kind of already has a crush on her and thinks she's cute. And he's, like, trying to get her to blush and trying to get her to smile. She can't blush. She can smile. But she can't, like, show any kind of affection toward him because she knows he's a cyborg. And then when we get to Cinder's perspective, all she's focusing on in their interaction is don't touch the foot, don't touch the foot, don't touch the foot. I just love the contrast of what their points of view are in the same meeting. Kai's thinking, oh my goodness, this mechanic I was coming to visit is so cute. And Cinder's like, oh my gosh, this guy's the prince. What do I do? What do I do? It's just so precious. So that is the last entry for Stars Above. It's not a background. And again, I kind of wish that we would have gotten a background for Child Kai because we didn't really get a background for him or Scarlet. We got a little bit of Scarlet mixed in with Michelle Benoit, but it was mostly focused on Michelle protecting Celine. So I really wish we would have gotten more Kai content because, again, growing up as a prince, knowing he's going to be emperor one day, even when he was a child, kind of this tension between Earth and Luna was starting. Like, it would have been cool to just see a little bit more from, little baby Kai. It would have been really nice, but that's okay. We didn't get it. We do get more Kai in Cinder, which will be the next book that we talk about. My goal is to keep these episodes between 10 and 15 minutes. While I'm first starting out, I feel like 10 to 15 minutes would be a good length, especially for people who don't know me and like maybe would give my video a chance versus like a half hour, an hour, hour and a half. Not that there's anything wrong with videos or podcasts that are that long. I do listen to some that are that long, but once they're established. So once we get going, if I gain some traction, then we can maybe slow down and take things a little bit slowly. But for now, we are going to end this episode right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye.